everyone. Welcome to this brand new episode of the India InsurTech Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Prabal, who's the co-founder and CEO of Finsall. Hi, Prabal. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much
Uh,
for inviting. Looking forward to an awesome conversation.
can we start by understanding what's been Finsall's journey all through these years?
Sure. So, just like anybody would aspire to in early 2000s in India, I also aspire to be a engineer. Did my computer engineering, spent some time in a firm as a software engineer, 2 years, then got introduced to the insurance ecosystem, got introduced to a college called National Insurance Academy and their MBA program specializing in insurance. So spent 2 years, did that, and it was a very interesting journey. It was a brand new field for me. And then moved out of that, did some consulting assignments, some national, some international, all in the insurance domain. Then joined a company called Swiss Re. I was leading their InsurTech accelerator, which started way back in 2016, 2017. So that was also a very interesting journey. Since then I moved out from Swiss Re in 2019 May is when I joined Sol. At Finsall, it's very safe to say that we are the category creators of insurance premium financing in India. So it's actually our company name and our brand name both is Finsall. And Finsall is short for Financing Insurance for All, and we made it short. And honestly, we loved it a lot when IRDA came up with the 2047 mission of insurance for all. So it gelled very, very well with us. So in larger sense, if you see, we are a relatively boring company. We are only concentrating on premium financing, but we see this as a huge category and as a huge potential in India. We are seeing a tremendous amount of growth in the last 3 years. I feel that post COVID, India has become relatively more serious for a good health coverage as well. And that's probably what we're enabling right now. So that's a quick overview.
I think you're a category creator, like you mentioned. I'd like to understand one is your core offerings. Number two, how do you cater to a diverse customer segment? There are different kinds of premium payers in the country. There's gig economy workers, there's HNIs, the spectrum is fairly large and diverse. How do you cater to these customer segments?
I think this is a very pertinent problem because we are actually at the intersection point of lending and
Yeah.
insurance, right? And if you see, if it would be safe to say that most of the lending institutions are pretty classist, right? Like this is a class of customer which I would want to cater to, is what they think,
Yeah.
right? So, like for example, if I compare two banks, an Axis Bank and a Bandhan Bank, right, will have a very, very different customer segment.
Yeah.
However, an insurance company, you're absolutely right in saying that would serve any and every type of customer, right? So what we do is we partner with multiple lenders in the background, right? And that's where how we are different from anybody who's there in the market, and so that our coverage is broader, right? So we have like seven lenders, eight lenders, right? So one customer which comes in, right? We don't know what kind of customer is coming through to us, but we actually have multiple lenders who we can slot it on, right? Because of that, the intermediaries who are working with us, they go back much more happy because their customer is getting an approval and also the best possible offerings as well for their customer, right? Like the tenure options and the upfront options that are coming from our side are best
Correct.
because there are more and more lenders which are there in the platform. So, and with insurance companies and insurance intermediaries, the process is exactly the same for any and every lender. So, for them, we have made their life simple so that they are not confused, right? As to if somebody is requiring for some extra documentation, no, that is our problem. We have sorted it out in the background. And the customer and intermediaries are relatively able to do the process in a very, very quick fashion.
Understood. But the default risks, they can hinder your growth, right? How do you mitigate these kinds of risks while keeping the solution affordable and accessible for people who can't pay premiums upfront?
Right. So I think when we started off, right, we always imagined that we will be serving the aspiring class or the bottom of the pyramid class, right, in India.
Yeah.
And that's because people who are not able to afford the premium is what we had thought. But to be honest, we were wrong. What we've observed is that when people got this option, when the intermediaries also got this option, while
Mm.
they were able to create the need with the customer, right? At that moment, people are not able to pay a significant sum, right? So most of the conversations, how they proceed is that, oh, you should sort of buy the best insurance product because you have the need, etc. Now I'll convince you as a customer that you should buy the best insurance product, but you'll come back to me and say that, was all is well and good, but I just have this much amount of money in my bank account right now. While the need would be there, everything is fantastic. You give me how much ever I can get in this. So we are able to solve that part of the problem. And that part of the problem basically helps in increasing the ticket size as well, right? Coming back to the first part of your question, in terms of the risk, right? You're absolutely right. I mean, handing out money is the most easiest job in the world. It's not a problem. Everybody wants money, but I think getting back the money is also where our job is. Our actually core job is that, right? To be
Yeah.
honest, and that is what we need to maintain so that it is sustainable. So we have a few things which result in a trade-off. Like for example, we don't charge a very high interest rate, right? Because if I
Okay.
charge a high interest rate to customers, then what happens is that they will think that I'm paying a lot more on top of my already existing expensive insurance. That's too much for me to be able to manage it, right? That is first part. Second part of things are where the customers are able to sort of have a trade-off on simplicity and speed. While they will be happy to pay the lowest premium or the lowest interest rate, right? There's some amount of money that they're happy to pay for ease and also for the speed, right? And convenience. So that aspect is also there. And then comes on to definitely when we are living in India, we know that not all customers are just going to pay back. So we have to have our mitigation mechanisms as well. What we typically do and how insurance premium financing operates across the globe is insurance is cancelled whenever the premium is not paid by the customer after a certain point of time, right? And that's exactly what we also do. And thankfully, we've been able to sort of have very minimal cancellation rates. And that is basically what has seen a much higher attachment rate from the insurance and the intermediaries for us. Because
Okay.
they go back happy saying that if I do a case with Finsall, then it doesn't mean that my commission or my premium will be clawed back in future.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think the growth momentum that you were talking about, 3 to 4x, do you think that's so in the insurance industry is touted to be, growing up to what, 170 million US dollars by 2030 as a market size? I want to understand if you see Finsol also sort of leveraging that rate of growth and catapulting into becoming a large player yourselves.
I am very, very optimistic on that. I'm very, very
Okay.
bullish on that because I feel that we've seen that in the past. If we would be having the same conversation in 2021, right? I would have said, I hope so, right? But I have not seen that happen, right?
Yeah.
In 2025, I can safely say that while I hope so for a bigger number, but I've seen a very good amount of increase in the past, right?
Yeah.
So we are very, very hopeful that this is going to happen. And we've seen very, very promising signs of that, and in terms of why it is happening, right? Like there were a few assumptions, one of which I mentioned, like we will probably be servicing the aspiring class and the PPL class earlier on. But no, that's not true, right? And when we saw that breakthrough, right, people may say with five, six credit cards also, right, they're buying insurance from us, right? So we've seen that there is a certain demand of the right product if it is sold, right, from the insurance standpoint. And I also see that the pricing of insurance is also going to get corrected, right? So it's not just about, I'm sure on your side, you would know more than me how the health insurance premiums have been rising in the last few
Yeah.
years, right? And consistently rising, right? And probably they are doing it because probably it was a market correction which was much needed, right? Medical inflation is rising in India, right? People are ready to pay also. Their payment capacity
Yeah.
is also improving and increasing. So there's a lot that is happening in the market right now, and I think India is now soon going to enter, and that's what I feel. Where while we were earlier thinking about survival, right? Then we are now thinking about maintenance, right? I think next is where we are going to think about we protecting our assets, right? So I think that is where we are slowly moving towards, right? And also I know for a fact that within India there are multiple Indias. There's a different kind, and there is a different kind where they're in different stages. But I think slowly, steadily that transition, right, and that movement is happening, right? And the good part with us is that even if there is a smaller percentage amount of people who are looking for protection, the percentage amount translates itself to a very, very large number because of our population, right? So I think that transition is happening. And to be honest, I used to do my research in Swiss Re, right?
Okay.
Swiss Re publishes these Sigma reports and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Being an Indian, you always have an eye in terms of what is this global organization saying about India, right? So they were always bullish, right? In fact, whatever they used to say that is going to happen very early on, That was not happening, and now I feel that a lot is happening in that direction. So I'm hopeful that with the growing economy, the insurance industry also grows, and I'm 100% sure if the insurance industry grows, then we'll be there with them.
I love the confidence, but I also must ask you about the go-to-market, right? Embedded insurance is now getting a lot of traction, and I'd like to
Yes.
know how you integrating with the digital ecosystems and what kind of partnerships are proving to be most impactful in this go-to-market model.
So we partner with insurance intermediaries and insurance companies, right?
Okay.
And in those partnerships, basically, we are seeing that whatever channel we are going through, right? Because we are honestly at a certain nascent stage, right? And all of the market, if you see, is actually a blue ocean, right? So wherever we are going, we are seeing traction, right? You name the LOB and we are seeing traction, right?
Okay.
In fact, we see a lot of times where we connect with intermediaries. They say that you're helping me with X LOB. Why don't you help me with another LOB as well, right? The same customer, same thing is asking for another premium financing for another policy, right? So why don't you help me with that? So a lot of those things are there, and we feel that getting to the customer through the existing channels, right, which is through the insurance companies and through the insurance intermediaries, and within the insurance companies also there is agency, there is brokerage, and all that. Those existing channels are very very good. And the other part is that we don't pose any threat to the intermediaries. Right?
Yeah.
Pledge is to never sell insurance at all, right?
Okay.
So when we don't do that, then what we are doing is we are actually, instead of competing with our partners, right, we are actually complementing them, right?
Yeah.
And since the last 6 years, since the inception of the company, we have stayed true to this mission, right? And
Yeah.
in actually agreements, we sign it as well that we are never going to sell insurance ever in existence of Finsall. So that level of trust, that level of engagement with the intermediary also increases multifold because eventually, if you look at insurance,
Correct.
it's more of a trust game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. And now looking beyond 2025, I'd like to know what kind of, from your vantage point, what are the key trends, distribution, disruptions that you see in InsurTech, and how are you guys going to keep up with all of these things? So, what kind of disruptions and how are you at Finsall going to keep up with all of it?
So I genuinely feel that we are poised as insurance premium financing to disrupt the market a bit, right? Enable what the market or what the manufacturers want to do for a change, right? I think we are enabling
Yeah.
that. Apart from that, definitely embedded insurance is another aspect which everybody is sort of very gung ho about.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I think there are other lines of risks which will open up, right? I think where we are at in cyber, right, is basically maybe like a 2015 of health insurance. Maybe probably it is 2005 of health insurance, right? Very, very few people are taking it and all of that, right? But I think the transition in terms of number of years that India took to sort of adapt to new risks or to safeguard themselves from new risks, that transition is going to be very, very small, right? Number of years that we are going to take is very small. So we are sitting in 2025, 2030, we are going to talk about a few risks which are going to be run of the mill, right?
Yeah.
Which people would want to cover. I mean, we saw snowstorm, or so not a snowstorm, a dust storm in the NCR region very, very recently. People's windows being broken and severe impact to their assets, right? This has been happening, right? But the awareness level with the help of social media and all of those things, having trusted insurance companies, having trusted insurance level with the help of social media and all of those things, having cost for coverage, right? It is as low as it gets, right? So from our standpoint, we believe that there are like homeowners should definitely improve, right? Because people are putting a lot of money, significant amount of money in their homes right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things are going to come up. Homeowners, I think, also shopkeepers, also
Yeah.
cyber. I think these are the kind of things which should come up because their asset value is increasing.
Correct. And you're going to be, sort of, you'll cut across all lines of business, and wherever there's a premium, you'll be sitting there, right? That's what
Yes.
you want to aim for. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe I can enhance financing insurance for all to financing all insurance for all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good statement to make, considering you're cutting across all lines of business. But great to see you,
Yeah,
Prabal. I think we're all excited about what you're going to build over the next few years. But we'd like to tell you that from an IIA standpoint, we're always supporting you and cheering for you. Great
yeah.
work,
Thank
and
you so much.
thanks for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you so much for it.
Hi everyone, welcome to this brand new episode of the India InsurTech podcast. Today, I'm joined by Prabal, who's the co-founder and CEO of Finsall. Hi, Prabal. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much
Uh,
for inviting. Looking forward to an awesome conversation.
can we start by understanding what's been Finsall's journey all through these years?
Sure. So just like anybody would aspire to in early 2000s in India, I also aspire to be a engineer. Did my computer engineering, spent some time in a firm as a software engineer, 2 years, then got introduced to the insurance ecosystem, got introduced to a college called National Insurance Academy and their MBA program specializing in insurance. So spent 2 years, did that, and it was a very interesting journey. It was a brand new field for me. And then moved out of that, did some consulting assignments, some national, some international, all in the insurance domain. Then joined a company called Swiss Re. I was leading their InsurTech accelerator, which started way back in 2016, 2017. So that was also a very interesting journey. Since then I moved out from Swiss Re in 2019 May is when I joined Sol. At Finsall, it's very safe to say that we are the category creators of insurance premium financing in India. So it's actually our company name and our brand name both is Finsall. And Finsall is short for Financing Insurance for All, and we made it short. And honestly, we loved it a lot when IRDA came up with the 2047 mission of insurance for all. So it gelled very, very well with us. So in larger sense, if you see, we are a relatively boring company. We are only concentrating on premium financing, but we see this as a huge category and as a huge potential in India. We are seeing a tremendous amount of growth in the last 3 years. I feel that post COVID, India has become relatively more serious for a good health coverage as well. And that's probably what we are enabling